already got 23 people in the chat, nice and early. Thank you very much for attending today. The room is quickly filling up, so I'll give it another minute before we get started. But first, I just wanted to say thank you all for attending today. We're really excited to get ARConnect out into the world and really fortunate for all of you to join us here today. I'll give it another couple minutes, but while we wait, it'd be great to hear from all of you to understand where you're all tuning in from today. So city or country, feel free to throw it in the chat. For those of you who haven't used Zoom, I'm sure we're all sick of Zoom by the end of 2020, but at the bottom of the panel, there's a Q&A and a chat button. Please put in your location down there so we get an idea of where you're all tuning in from. It will help us in the future as well. Got some Sydney, some WA, Atlanta, Melbourne, like to home, Maine, awesome. The US, beautiful. Wow, got a lot of people from all over the world here. We've got France, awesome. Bonjour. In quarantine in Adelaide, yeah. Well, hopefully this gives you some entertainment in Adelaide while you're in quarantine. We had our fair share here in Melbourne for about 9 months, so we definitely feel your pain. Good luck, stay safe. I hope you get through it, and that kind of goes to everyone around the world as well. Stay safe, stay inside, wear a mask, all that fun stuff. Beautiful. So we're getting to a really good point now. I'll get started. Before I do, I'd just like to introduce myself and my co-host today. So my name's Stephen. I'm the co-founder from, one of the co-founders from Foria. Been working on this project and the company for over 6 years. I'll give you a little bit more of a background on myself, but I've also got our lead spatial developer and head engineer on ARConnect, Ian, which you can see there, and he'll be coming in for the Q&A at the end to answer all the hard questions for me and assisting us through this process. So let's get started. We've now got a fair few participants in. I'll share my screen and get this going. This one, beautiful. So thank you again for all of you that have come in the last couple of minutes. We're really excited to have you all join us today. If you get a chance, please throw in the chat where you're tuning in from so we get a better idea of where all you lovely people are around the world. A little bit of admin. If you've got any questions, there's a Q&A section which you'll see at the bottom of your panel. Feel free to write any questions in there throughout the webinar. At the end, we've left some time to answer all of these questions. And if at the end you'd like to speak as well, you can press the raise your hand button and we can get you to have a bit of a chat if you'd like as well. My team's going to be moderating that Q&A, so they'll be looking at all those questions as they're coming through. Also, we are recording this presentation, so we're going to provide this afterwards. There will be a link in the chat to our closed Facebook group. We're going to be posting this webinar in that group, so please join the group and you'll get access to it there. We'll also be providing this pitch deck as well. It's got a fair bit of information in it, and hopefully all of you could use it to potentially on-sell to your customers or just get a better idea to sell back to your team as well. So let's get started. Who are we? For those of you who don't know us, we've been in this industry since 2014. We started the company as Scanned. Back then, we bought one of the first 10 cameras off the Matterport line and quickly grew to a technician fleet of 15 people around Australia. Through that, we built our software platform, CAPTUR3D, to help ourselves manage all the people and create additional content and floor plans and everything else that it's known for today. Matterport came to us very shortly after this and asked us to become the reseller for Matterport in Australia and New Zealand. So at that point in time, we stopped scanning, we focused on our software and became the reseller for the technology. For those of you who don't know CAPTUR3D, CAPTUR3D is a tool set for Matterport technicians to create value from their tours, and ARConnect, this experience sits under the CAPTUR3D brand. So whether it's floor plans, post-production, photo retouching, branding, one-page websites, it's all bundled into CAPTUR3D as a fantastic offering. And all of this sits under our overarching company, Foria. So Foria, for those of you who don't know, is an immersive technology company. We've worked with some of the largest companies in the world, Google, Facebook, Netflix, WWF, in creating virtual reality and augmented reality experiences. A lot of our project work that we develop out our IP and R&D has been developed over the last 4 or 5 years and been driven into ARConnect. So what is ARConnect? You've all probably seen the videos that we've been sharing over the past few weeks, ARConnect is an augmented reality tool that connects to Matterport Virtual Tours. So Matterport has a wealth of information in the 3D dataset that it's creating, and we're utilizing that to now provide another experience on site. A lot of this is what we've been doing over the past few years for projects for our customers. And what we've tried to do is bring that back down to a scalable solution for all of you to make use of and start utilizing within the industries that you operate. So we built ARConnect because of two key factors. We've been getting asked more and more often by our customers to develop out very similar projects. And what these projects started off being were 6 to 8 month projects that were a few $100,000, so quite cost prohibitive and quite time prohibitive. Our goal over this was reducing that time, and within 12 months, we reduced what was a 9-month project down to a 2-week project. And now it takes minutes to set up an ARConnect environment and less than a few $100s, including Matterport fees and everything else around it as well. And so it's very scalable, very quick, and very cost effective. And now we want to get these tools out to all of you to see how you would like to bring augmented reality into the world. So a bit of background on how this technology was developed. Back in 2018, 2019, Google came to us with the idea to create an augmented reality experience with David Attenborough's TV show, Our Planet, which ended up being Reworld. At this time, we were meant to use Google technology to help with our alignment process. Google wasn't able to get it to market quick enough. So our fantastic team of engineers ended up developing what is now known as our alignment system. This project, Reworld, launched in New York, Singapore, and Bristol, and was really fortunate, and we're grateful that it won a Webby for Best AR Experience in the World. More recently, we've been working with the University of Melbourne to develop out a lot of the R&D that you see in ARConnect today. And I'll show a video of this throughout the webinar today, but we're able to develop things like two-way tags, wayfinding, IoT, BIM, and 3D asset integration. All of these features are things that we're going to be bringing into ARConnect over the next 12 to 18 months, but starting with small steps to making sure that everything works seamlessly. Very similarly with Willow, another fantastic project where that was quite similar to University of Melbourne, which took us about 6 months to develop. Willow took us a month within the same year. And so it showed the rapid progress that our team was able to make in creating these sort of experiences. Both of these will have videos that I'll show throughout this presentation to give you a better idea of where we're going to be taking this technology in the future. So what's available right now? I'll play a quick video of Alex showing us through ARConnect's current feature suite. But at the moment, what we're doing is making the most out of what's currently in Matterport. So the Matter tags. If there's a Matter tag within your space that's hosting any of the images, videos, PDFs, or text, we can bring that to life now in augmented reality. And so we're keeping it very simple and very similar to what is currently possible with Matterport before we take the next steps into the bigger features that are coming in the next few months. We've also got a measurement tool. You've probably seen a lot of these in AR experiences, whether it's AR Kit or AR Core. It is a useful tool in general, but we also utilize it for our alignment side of things. And then basic share functionality to get your content out into the world, whether it's a photo or a video. And there's a quick sneak peek of a feature that we're going to be releasing in the next few weeks, which is website view, where you can look at a website directly within a tag. So I'm going to quickly play this video.
Okay guys, so I'll show you some spatial tags that we've created just in the corner of the office here. These are created as Matter tags in the Matterport workshop, but we've gone a step further and we're also now able to integrate websites embedded straight into the Matter tags, SoundCloud links, PDFs. So I'll show you a few examples and we'll go from there. So the Matterport camera just here, we can click on the closest spatial tag. That's going to bring up a PDF of leasing options for the Matterport camera. Obviously there's so many variables for this to be used in retail and other industries. We're going to go over here to this lovely mural on the wall made by a local artist, Lucy. We'll click on this Matter tag, and this is actually her website embedded straight into that Matter tag. So being able to navigate around, no problem. So really great tool for showcasing gallery spaces, museums, etc. Let's walk over to the captured banner over here. So we'll click on this spatial tag just there, and this is going to generate a video of captured. So allowing us to play it directly within the Matter tag, straight from there. we'll leave that for another time. And then moving over here, more kind of simple content that we'll integrate into here. So this beautiful fiddle leaf tree, we can click on the tag located there. And as you can see, it's coming up with text, images, some more information about the plant. And then finally over here, we have in the music corner, SoundCloud integrated directly into that spatial tag. You're able to play music directly from within there. So many capabilities of ARConnect within different industries. One other final thing I wanted to show you as well is we also have an awesome capture button in the bottom right-hand corner. So this is going to allow you to take photos on the fly as you're walking through, any spatial tags and information, save them, share them, social media, whatever you needed to do. And then also screen caps, video recordings as well. So you can record video directly from within the ARConnect app and save and share them from in there as well. So that's kind of an overview of what's possible. Thanks a lot. Any questions, get in touch. More than happy to help. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex. And so as you can see there, we've given a quick overview of what's currently available. So if you were to jump on to Captured in ARConnect today, all of these features, minus the website, which is going to be in the next couple of weeks, is all available for you to test and try. So you can imagine any of the tours that you've tagged up with a lot of information, be it a retail store or whatever it may be, those tags automatically port into the real world once you've used our alignment technique and the application. And so this is all currently available today for you to get trying and testing with.
Hey guys.
Apologies. Looking forward into the future, there's a number of really exciting features that we're going to be developing over the next 12 to 18 months. And a lot of this has already been developed through various projects, as I mentioned before, that we've been working on the last few years. And now it's in the process of optimizing it and refining it to be a scalable solution for everyone to make use out of without any development, just plug and play solutions that anyone can benefit from. In no particular order, but IoT integration. So being able to link through APIs to IoT sensors as we have more smart buildings and smart offices and smart homes, these are going to be more relevant and more useful. So rather than having data stored in spreadsheets, having it visually shown within a space can provide more benefit to the end user. Spatial wayfinding. I've got a few examples of wayfinding throughout this presentation, but essentially we've all come to know and commonplace with Google Maps outdoors, we're trying to provide that in indoor spaces. So whether it's navigating from A to B within a shopping center or trying to get you through an exhibit in a museum, this is the wayfinding that we're going to be providing and will be one of the key features that we'll be releasing early next year. Guided audio tours. Some of you may have seen the experience that Captured produced for University of Melbourne, where it used the SDK to provide spatial audio within that tour. It's bringing that experience into augmented reality. And so you could hear different audio depending on where you are within a space. 3D asset integration. And so this is more particular for virtual staging, which might give you an indication of a particular feature that the Capture team's working on at the moment as well. But bringing in a couch or a chair or a table, putting that in your virtual tour, but then also bringing that into your real world to see how it's situated within the physical space as well. And the last two here, BIM integration. It's one of the bigger features that we get asked for and probably one of the more difficult ones just because of the size of BIM files and also how different and varying they are between architects and designers. But this is going to be an amazing tool. It gives you that X-ray vision through the walls and through the ceiling so you can see the electrical lines or the plumbing without having to put any holes into the space. And then two-way tags. Again, I've got a little bit more information on it throughout the piece, but being able to put a note next to a faulty light socket or provide information to a certain offsite or onsite individual. And these tags are all relative to the Matterport tour. And so you could see it as a communication tool as well. Someone onsite could place a tag and someone offsite will see that populate as a Matter tag within the virtual tour. And so these are all things that we've created before, and now we're looking to optimize to bring into ARConnect in the coming year. I'll quickly show a quick video that most of you may have seen, but a bit of a highlight reel for what's to come. slightly towards the end there. Awesome. So for the next few slides, what I thought would be really beneficial is communicating around some of the industry focuses that we've been speaking to. By no means are these the extent of the industries where this application can be used, but what we've found is this is some of the more richer conversations that we've been having with our clients, and to give you some ideas of how these people are looking to utilize this technology. As part of this initial stage, we'd also love to hear from you, and as part of early adopters that you all are, we'll have feedback forms to hear about the industries that you'd like to focus on and the potential tool sets that you would need to assist in that process. But this is just a couple of the areas that we've had great success with over the past few years that I wanted to share. First and foremost, museums and galleries. These spaces were quite affected through COVID, obviously shutting down to the public, and now as they come back online, they're looking to extend their services and provide additional experiences within the spaces that they're in. A few of the features that we've looked to develop or have developed in a number of our examples include spatial tags, and so this makes a fair bit of sense in terms of providing more context to the installation or the exhibit that's being there, whether it's the artist speaking about what's there or potentially an alternate view to what's being shown. And so it's providing a more contextual digital layer for the user to move through that space. The next one is wayfinding. So creating a curated tour of certain exhibitions throughout the space in itself, leading the users through the space. And finally, guided audio tours. These are already quite present within a lot of galleries and museums around the world, but they use hardware, so beacon technology and Bluetooth. A lot of companies now are looking to step away from hardware installations as things can be outdated quite quickly and need a lot of maintenance and updating. And so with this system, all you need is a user's digital device and setting up a Matterport tour, and you can provide these guided audio tours, wayfinding and tags. And so it's a simpler setup and more scalable within the future as well. The next one is within retail, another industry that's been affected quite heavily within COVID as they've moved a lot more digital. But as all of these stores start to reopen, looking at different ways that they can bring people back into their stores and give them another reason for coming in and visiting. Spatial tags is another a really beneficial purpose here, whether you're showing more information about the product, where it was manufactured, or different color variations, or even the price in a varying price space. So having certain digital prices shown for people that are utilizing the app or benefits things through that. Website integrations, you saw quickly in that initial video the ability to embed a website. You could utilize this to create an online e-store through the experience. And so a user could walk through a retail store like the photo that you're looking at, adding a whole bunch of items to cart. And by the time they get to the checkout, they've already paid online with their credit card and they can pick up their items and move through the space. And lastly, spatial wayfinding. This is more, I guess, for shopping centers or potentially a large space like IKEA, but from getting from point to A to point B. So I'm sure we've all sat in front of those big signs at shopping centers that say you are here, you have no idea where you are. This is what we're kind of trying to solve for here, being able to provide people with more context to where they are and where they're trying to get to in a really simple fashion. Next up is real estate. I know a lot of you, if not all of you, work within the real estate space, and it's the bread and butter or the backbone for a lot of MSPs around the world. And so this tool can sit quite nicely within this space. There was a video that got released a few years ago as a concept around how you could create an open for inspection. That is all now possible. So there's two ways of looking at the real estate side. There's the for sale and the rental or leasing part of real estate. Within sales, it makes a lot of sense if you wanted to set up the tags that you've got in your virtual tour to identify certain assets within the property or key features that a potential buyer could walk through and get more information about. Within the rental space, it could be used more for property inspections or reviews when people are moving in or out of a property. So if you had a mark against a tag next to a mark on the wall saying this was done in 2015, as the realtor is going back through the site to review that house again, they can easily see that tag and the image of the tag to see how things have changed over time. Our team's also been playing with the idea of putting Matterport tours within a tag. And so you could have the actual tour itself at a certain location with a deep link. And so you can see exactly what it looked like at that previous point in time and compare it in situ as well. Next up is education. We've been doing a lot of trials within the education space, and I'll play this video in a moment. But we've been working with the New South Wales Department of Education to see how they could utilise this across all 2,000 of their schools in the state. There's two purposes that we've been looking at. This video focuses more on the teachers' side, so helping teachers better understand the environment they're in, whether it's giving them information on technical assets within that space, or helping them teach their class a little bit better. I'll play this video now and then talk about the student aspect to it afterwards. But the gentleman in this video is the head of innovation at the New South Wales Department of Education. It was a really good project to work with because before doing this, we had the technology available, but putting it in his hands, he really pushed it to see how we could use this within a space like education.
You're going to show us a video. You can see in the screen here now of Megan and Greg. I'm going to click that play button and we can actually watch that video in here now. So this is a professional learning tool for teachers so that they can start to learn how to use the technology that's inside their space. So along with the fit out of the physical space, we can fit it out with teaching and learning tools, which is completely amazing as we see Greg and Megan getting involved over here. But our possibilities aren't limited. We can see other dots here. This one here is actually a survey. So you could actually place a survey into your space for your students to have an exit ticket to say how they found the experience. It could be something simple, a little bit like a scavenger hunt where they need to pop in their answers, and you'll see I can actually complete this form live and within the application itself is inside that window, provide.
Beautiful. And for those of you who weren't aware, we are based in Australia, which was probably a dead giveaway by the magpie in the classroom there. So as you can see that there's a number of useful tools, whether it's embedding videos, PDFs, or even the form, which I thought was a really good idea that they put into that space there. The second part of this is for students, and a key area that we've been looking at more recently is within accessibility for either wheelchair accessibility, sight or sound accessibilities, and helping people feel more comfortable coming into physical spaces with technology. And we've got a number of tools, whether it's through wayfinding or tags, that can assist in these processes. There's a number of different refinements that we're looking for, but it's very likely in the near future that we're going to be releasing certain features that help with accessibility purposes, how to navigate within a stadium for a wheelchair individual to find their seat. Things like that are key areas where this technology can provide real impact moving forward. Apologies.
You're going to show us a video. You can see in the screen.
My videos don't want to play nice. And the last one here is engineering. Again, I'll play this video. A number of you may have seen it. It was posted in the forums about a year ago, but this has that BIM integration factor to it. So being able to have X-ray vision, looking through the walls and being able to see the certain designs and comparing that design to actually where it was built. This has an immense amount of value and ROI within the construction industry. Placing a line in the incorrect location could end up costing hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so immediately you can see the benefit of having an augmented reality overlay during the construction phase, but also after the fact. And so if there was an issue, you can see exactly where things are without having to drill holes into areas or even maintain the IoT sensors. You can see in the background in this photo, this is a heat map that was created using IoT sensors and seeing where in a plant room, things are hot versus cold. We've also used this in an open office setting to allow employees to figure out where they want to sit based on if they want a colder environment or a warmer environment. And the last one here is the two-way tag integrations. So being able to have that communication tool, whether it's on-site, off-site, and how people want to communicate through this technology. So I'll quickly play this video. available. So a lot of the features that you saw there, or if not all of those features, are areas that we're going to be working towards within the next 12 to 18 months, but gives you a really good idea of some of the benefits that could be utilized in the thinking process to start with a few of the industries that you're already speaking to. If the Matterport tour is captured whenever, we can always retrofit it with an augmented reality experience. So even existing spaces that you might have on your account, we can go back to and potentially create a new revenue stream for you once these features become available within these industries itself. Doesn't want to play nice with me when I become a clicker. So I've been talking about a number of different features that are coming in the near future, and it's probably not very helpful for me to say in the next 12 to 18 months. But also the developers within the team don't like giving too precise timelines as well, because as you all know, things vary. But I wanted to give a broad timeline of when we plan on doing things. And so you all have a better idea of what's to come in the very near future. So right now, as we mentioned, we're now in our public beta launch as of today. So anyone can access the content once they get their Matterport API key, which I'll go through in a moment. But the spatial tags are available, the measurement tool and the sharing functionality. And the next week or two, the spatial websites that you saw there will also become available. And that's all going to be here for this side of the year for testing purposes and to get you all comfortable with the technology. Early next year in Q1, we're going to be focusing on wayfinding. We believe this has some of the best benefits across multiple industries and usefulness for all of you to go and utilize. And the second part there is custom tags. And so you may have noticed in the ARConnect app, we're using an orb right now to signify the matter tag. We're going to be creating tools that allow you to customize what that looks like, be it a standard color, your logo, your client's logo, and having that ability to differentiate between different tags as well. And so that will be coming in Q1. Later on in the year in Q2, we're going to be focusing on more of the SDK-esque features within Matterport. And so the guided audio tours and the 3D asset integrations. And so they will be coming ideally before June in 2021. And then the two-way tags. As you saw through the videos that I showed before, these are all pieces of technology that we've built before. And so it's not as if we're trying to build something new. We're optimizing it and getting it ready for scale for all of you as well. And then finally, leaving the second half of the year for some of the bigger challenges. So BIM has enormous amounts of challenges just due to the size of some of the assets that you'd be working with, and compressing that down to be able to work on a mobile is one challenge. But then also anyone that's worked with BIM before would know that from architect to designer, things can change quite dramatically as well. So getting all the pieces in place to easily provide this as a scalable service. And the last part here, if it hasn't already, I'm sure it's going to come up in a question very shortly around white labeled options. At the moment, you do need to download an ARConnect app, but we also understand that there is a lot of benefit to be able to provide this either under your brand or under your client's brand. If you're working with some of the larger shopping retailers in the world, or an IKEA, for instance, it's very likely that they're going to want their own version of this similar application. And that's going to be a focus that we're going to be looking at towards the end of next year, because we understand the value that it can provide to everyone involved. At the end of the day, we're trying to create these features and these experiences for all of you to benefit from, because if you guys win, it helps us win as well. And so we understand that process and how we're going to get there. So I've talked about a lot of the experiences, the end features, the industries, and how it can be sold to, but I'm going to dive into a little bit on how it actually comes together and how the magic works. We will be providing onboarding sessions as well. So if you want to touch base with our customer support team, you can set up a 10 or 15-minute chat where we can talk through this a bit more in detail, but I'm going to give a high-level overview. And so you all have a bit of an indication on how it comes together. We've spent a lot of time and a lot of long nights trying to come up with the simplest and most effective way to provide this service. In the background, it is very complicated and it is very technically challenging, but we've narrowed it down to what we believe some of the simplest techniques are. In one part, setting it up as an admin, but then even simpler for your end user. And I'll go through that journey afterwards as well. So first and foremost, you do need a captured account. If you don't already have one, you can sign up for free and you'll get 5 free property packs. And as part of that, you'll get access to ARConnect. For those of you who do have an account, or once you do set up your captured account, we require the Matterport API key. It is meant to be coming public pretty shortly, but if it's not already, there's an email template that we can provide you to send to the developers at Matterport to get your API key. And there's a section in the back end of Captured where you simply place your Matterport API key, and that connects up both of our systems so that we can get the information that we need to do all of our alignments. The second part is creating a virtual tour in Captured. Again, if you haven't done this before in Captured, there's a whole wealth of benefits behind the branding, the analytics, the navigation systems, the one-page websites and everything else. but this also helps set up the ARConnect site. And so by simply putting your Matterport URL into this section here, you create a property page, which you can see in the third image on the right-hand side here. And by clicking on the ARConnect button in the top right, you'll be able to click the Create Digital Twin section, which sets up the space to allow you to start creating a ARConnect site. And so that's the general starting spot. So getting your Matterport tour, getting your API, you're putting in your Matterport tour and clicking create, and that sets up the space to begin with. The next part here is what we've tried to simplify to its best potential, essentially. And so what we're doing here as an admin, so all of you setting up these spaces, is aligning the physical world to the digital world, and the digital world being the Matterport Virtual Tour. And so the way that we've gone about doing this is creating what we know as an alignment point. And in simple terms, it's a measurement. And so what we ask you to do is create a horizontal measurement on the floor on a space that isn't likely to move. So we recommend things like door frames, for instance, because it's a central point that isn't going to change unless you're doing a massive renovation, or a window, for instance. And so you set up your first alignment point on the Matterport Virtual Tour by measuring, let's call it the front door of a house. When you save that, it creates a screenshot and also provides you with the measurement information. When you go back to site, you're asked to do the exact same thing with your mobile phone. And so you create a measurement through AR at that same front door. And then what we're doing is we're aligning in the background the digital and the physical to those 2 points. And then from there, we can surface all of those amazing features that I've been showing you previously, whether it's tags or wayfinding. And so that's an initial, or the starting point for your ARConnect. As an admin, we recommend setting a few of these up throughout a space. So in a large area, every 10 to 15 meters, or in main doorways, would recommend setting these up throughout the way. And so there is a bit of a setup process as an admin, but the end user will never see it. They align on the initial point, and then for the remainder of their experience, our system is constantly looking for the other alignment points that you've set up. And so it can constantly realign. As we all know with AR, if you've ever worked with it, there's a thing known as drift. And so by setting up these other points, it's constantly looking for them and will snap everything back into place as the end user's moving through it. They'll never see this. It's all done in the background. So the end user experience, this is where we've really narrowed down and spent a lot of time on making it as simple as possible. The 3 key areas that we focused on here is making sure it's delightful, making sure that it's super easy, and making sure that it works every single time. We understand that for a lot of people, it's the first time that they're going to be utilizing an AR experience, and almost certainly the first time they're using an AR spatial experience. And from our technology, from our experience working with brand new technologies, it needs to be easy and it needs to work every time for people to want to come back. And that delightfulness is going to be what they want to do by sharing it. And so if it is amazing, easy, and they get an amazing experience out of it, they're going to be more likely to talk about it and more likely to share it. And so we've narrowed it down into 3 simple steps. Firstly, they download the ARConnect app. They click start and they choose the property that they want to go to. A reference image is popped up to say, find this start location. And once the user's at that location, they use their camera on their phone to move their phone back and forth to understand where they are visually. The system understands where they are and away they go. That's all they need to do. So within seconds, the user can click on a house, start its experience, and start looking at the tags, which in this case, on the right-hand side, there's a video playing in itself. So it is super simple for the end user. The admin, there are a couple steps that we went through, and it is a lot easier once you go through it once or twice to set up those processes. But for the end user, who are all of our customers at the end of the day, we've tried to make this as simple as possible. So what now? I've gone through a number of different examples with industries, areas that we've been focusing on just because of our client demands and questions. But we're really wanting to hand this over to you. So we're in public beta right now. If you have access to your Matterport API key, you can put that directly into Capture today and get started. If not, we can provide you with that email to get your API as soon as possible. And then get started. Try it at your home, try it at your office, play with different tags, see how it works and what industries or what clients you think might be open to trying this to begin with. And then the second part of this is feedback and suggestions. I've mentioned it a couple of times throughout this webinar, but we've built this system for all of you. And so using our knowledge on what our customers want, we've built this initial phase of the experience. But at the end of the day, we want to help you be able to provide augmented reality experiences to your customers. And so we'll be providing feedback forms to give us your suggestions as well. Anything that you come up with, whether it's a UI, UX or UI suggestion all the way through to a feature that I may not have mentioned that's coming up. We've left space within our development timeline to fulfill all of these because we want to make sure that we're providing you with the tools that you need in your areas of the world and within your industries. And so we're going to be looking at this feedback quite closely. So please fill it out with as much information as you can and get started today. It's ready to go. A lot of late nights, blood, sweat, and tears have gone into this over the last 4 or so years. Our team's super excited to see people starting to play with it. And it's amazing to get it out of the development environment from our office and testing into the hands of all of you who we're really looking forward to seeing what you push the boundaries with and the industries that you open up, and hopefully new revenue streams and new opportunities for all of you. But yeah, let's get started today. It is in private beta. We are looking to go public in the new year. There isn't going to be much of a difference. There may need to just be some updates on alignment points and things, depending on how we maintain the system and update it. But it's good to go, good to test and get started for today. I'm going to turn around. I know we've got a few questions in the chat. I'm going to bring in Ian to help me out here because he's the brains behind this whole thing and he's going to answer all of your tough questions. So please, the harder the better. Put him under the spot here. Any questions, put them in the chat. If you'd like to have a chat yourself, raise your hand. We'll see if we can get you online. I'm going to stop sharing so you can actually see our faces. Let's see what we've got here. Fiona has asked, will the wayfinding guided tours factor into disability accessibility text-to-speech? Yeah, this is a really good question. I'll answer this first, but maybe Ian could touch on a couple of the technical side of things. Currently, at the moment, it doesn't, but we're working with a local accessibility advisory here in Melbourne who actually advised on the Commonwealth Games and a few other spaces within the Olympic Park here in Melbourne. And we're using or utilising their knowledge to create this experience. It's actually a really tough space to answer for when you're looking at different accessibilities. When you're looking at someone that may have or maybe blind or lacks sight, using an augmented reality experience is quite tough because it works on visual representation, but how much of the screen can we use as text to speech so they can is a challenge that we're looking to overcome over the next few years. There are no right answers right now. It will create a lot of R&D, but it is an area that all of us and all of our team are really passionate about. And so it's an area that we believe the technology can provide a great amount of impact. So yeah, Ian, did you have anything to add on text to speech or accessibility?
No, basically, yeah, it's all definitely possible, but that, yeah, we need to be very careful with what we implement to make sure that it is safe to use. I'm not sure of really how it works in certain businesses and like shopping centers and stuff like that, but if there is any accessibility data, it's possible for our system to also ingest that. And stuff like evacuation plans, we want to keep all of that stuff in mind. But I mean, during this beta period, definitely we want to, I wouldn't use it for anything that might be life-threatening at the moment, but we basically want to constantly improve it.
Yeah, Ian touches on a really good point. It's something that we bring up to ourselves and make sure that we're accountable for. It's one thing providing an application to people that are able to utilize all of their senses, but when it's trying to assist people to navigate a space and they're relying on your technology, it comes up with a whole bunch of other questions that you really need to be careful for and certain of before putting it into market. But as you can see, it's an area that we're quite interested in and we'll focus on. Another one here from Christopher. For the AR integration, each space needs to be shot with Matterport first. Yes, for now. For now it does. Matterport's the backbone of what we're utilizing. So whether it's through a iPhone capture, a 360 camera or Matterport Pro 2, all of the Matterport environments, I should say also the BLK as well, work within the ARConnect space. The reason being we utilize a lot of the information through the 3D mesh and dollhouse for the XYZ coordinates, for the tags, and also the alignment side of things as well. We do have ideas of opening it up to other technologies, but as we all know, and probably the vast majority of you on this call, Matterport's the cheapest and quickest way to create a virtual tour with spatial information. There were some questions in the forums the last couple of days around things like KR Pano. That's great. They provide panorama images, but unfortunately it doesn't have the spatial information that Matterport does to be able to create the information that we do. But yeah, so at the moment, yes, doing it in a Matterport side of things. We've got another one here, Ian, I'll let you answer this one. What devices can you use to view the end experience?
Right, yeah. So the intention is for you to hopefully be able to use your mobile device, an existing device. But because of the AR capabilities, we do require kind of a mid to high tier device generally. The actual technical restriction is for an Android device, it needs to be updated to Android 10 or above. And for iOS, we want to be on iOS 11 or above. But those things may basically constantly change. We wanted this system to be scalable, so we want to support as many devices as possible. But unfortunately, sometimes just the AR capabilities need a little bit more of a high-end phone. In future, we also want to support any mixed reality devices like the HoloLens or Magic Leap. Nothing confirmed yet, but the intention is that these systems will all work on smart glasses as well, and any new future tech that comes out between now and when I stop working on this, I guess.
Yeah, awesome. If you see our board of like concepts and ideas, whilst it's a while away, but contact lenses that are mixed reality are probably going to be the future within 5 to 10 years. And so building experiences that can continue to evolve and build into these things at the moment is where our thoughts are. Obviously, it's not possible now, but it's where we'll like to take it in the future. We've got another one here for BIM. So for BIM, the most effective would be with enough accuracy. That is correct. It seems like a camera with a LiDAR will be necessary. Yes and no. So absolutely, BIM is only useful when it's accurate. If it's not accurate, then its usefulness is declined quite dramatically. And within a couple millimeters is probably the acceptable bounds for this situation. So the initial part, you would want a minimum of a Pro 2, Matterport Pro 2 to scan that space to give you the spatial information. A LiDAR would give you more accuracy in terms of the 3D model, but where it comes down to is actually the alignment side. And so at the moment, we're using a simple and effective alignment technique. When we're looking at BIM, we'll be using a similar technique, but a little bit more comprehensive. And so with a spatial tag, you can have a variance of a few centimeters either side, and it's not going to make too much of a difference. But with BIM, you need to have a lot more accuracy. And so using the actual 3D model data set to constantly be updating with visual representations is going to be key. And one of the reasons why we've left it towards the end to solve for, because not only is the data set a difficulty, but also the alignment side. And if that's not correct, then the usefulness, as you've pointed out, isn't quite there. Did you have anything else to add to the BIM side of things? I know you've worked on it for quite a while, Ian.
No, it's a similar issue to the accessibility issue, which is that it can be accurate within like a certain amount of millimeters, but that the tech, especially the mobile device tech, isn't necessarily accurate enough to trust your life on it. There's also the more alignment points you have, the more accurate the system will be. And in fact, at an alignment point, like when Steve was talking about in the presentation, marking your first alignment point at the front door, at certain alignment points, the system is the most accurate. And then as you start to move away, it gets a little bit less accurate, which is the drift he was describing. So for BIM situations, it would be, and for like high accuracy situations, it could be a combination of a lot of alignment points, potentially even bringing in some kind of like QR codes and image markers for more precise alignment. But this is stuff that's going to evolve in future as we integrate BIM in a more scalable manner.
Awesome. The next question we've got here, and let us know if we're answering these questions correctly, by the way, in the chat. If you would like more information, just let us know. We live and breathe this stuff. It's just great that other people are asking us questions about it. The next one here is from Dan Smigrod. Did the demo API integration with AR overlays for clarifications, live data such as gauges? Do you want to answer that one, Ian?
Yeah, sure. I'm not sure if it was in the actual video. It may have been cut off in the video you showed, Steve. But we do have planned support for IoT sensor integration. And the intention is to ingest different IoT APIs and their data, and then display them in a particular format. The WebView, the website embedding that is also coming in a future update very soon, hopefully, is also kind of a workaround for showing IoT gauges, because if you already have a front end that can display IoT data in a really fancy way, you can just embed that web page straight into a tag. And in which case we don't have to support your particular IoT service because you can just throw it in there and it'll work. But we also plan to have a way of ingesting IoT data straight into the system and automatically displaying it for you.
Yeah, exactly right. Something that we've kind of been bringing ourselves back to is we don't want to recreate the wheel. some amazing companies and software applications out there are doing amazing things, be it APIs for IoTs or even Matterport themselves. And so how can we leverage the amazing work that's out there and then put our layer of experience and technology on top of it? And so, yeah, whether it's through a web page or through the API itself, we're going to be able to have that capability. Technically, you can do it as soon as we do the website release in the next couple of weeks, but it will be a lot more refined in the new year. The next one here is from Bruce Wells, spatial wayfinding. Have you been able to do this across multiple Matterport scans? For example, in a retail park where you need to move from a specific location in a building A to a specific location somewhere in building B. This is a really good question and a really difficult one to not answer, but to complete. So with the University of Melbourne example, you can imagine that each property or each area of the indoor space within the university has a Matterport tour. It's probably one of the most covered Matterport spaces in the world in terms of the university precinct. We've got over 150 or 200 scans of their site. And so we've got all their indoor areas mapped. But from building to building is obviously outdoor. Our team has done a number of projects with a number of different technologies. Trying to think of the word, the company, and you might be able to help me here. The one that we did for Monash University, thanks to Alan. But they've got an AR wayfinding extension to it. And so what it's doing is utilizing our AR spatial wayfinding within the indoor spaces, but then utilizing technology stacks that have exterior AR capabilities as well. And so as you're moving from space to space, it's transitioning in the background. The user doesn't actually see the difference because they're just getting that endpoint of view, which is an arrow and line moving through the space. And then as with alignment points, as we were talking about before, once they get to that new alignment point for ARConnect, it would then pick up the new building that they're in, and then away they go and the experience can continue. This is primarily concept, what I've just discussed with you, but each part of that has been completed as part of a project. So the indoor wayfinding and the exterior wayfinding and the combination of both. It comes back to that point which I was making throughout the piece was we've done all these things in the past for projects which we have the benefit of time and money on our side, and now it's drilling these down to a scalable solution. So it won't be available in the first release of wayfinding. Initially, wayfinding will be within a single Matterport tour or multiple Matterport tours if you've got multiple levels and things like that within a space. But over time, we would be able to develop the capabilities to be able to go from indoor, outdoor to indoor. But it's a really good question. Thanks for that one, Bruce. Anything to add on wayfinding, Ian? Yeah, awesome. Jonathan, is it necessary to carry out a Matterport or BLK 360 as the foundation? Yeah, we did talk about this before. It is, for now at least, but also because it provides the most amount of data in the quickest way possible. And that's why we've chosen Matterport. Also, their tags work really well with their API. I know that we're the reseller for Matterport, so it sounds like I'm probably selling Matterport here, but it is actually the best foundation for us to work from. When other technologies do present themselves with the capabilities that Matterport do, we will look at them as opportunities. But right now, we're able to kind of leapfrog a lot of what we would have had to do by utilizing Matterport's infrastructure, whether it's through the tags or the wayfinding and a bunch of other things like that as well. So yes, at the moment, you will need a foundation within the Matterport environment to allow this to work. Chris, will this work with 3D authoring software such as 3D Vista? Ian, I'll throw that one to you. You're on mute, buddy.
I'm not particularly familiar with 3D Vista. Right now it is an app you have to download, and so there's no easy way to kind of integrate that into another system. We can do the flip side in future at least, which is ingest data from different 3D programs. And so I'm not particularly familiar with 3D Vista, but the idea would be that in future we would have ways of ingesting different data from different 3D software, different content layers for your digital space that can then be displayed in AR. And it's just a matter of us working with those bits of software to determine the best way to kind of bring that data into the real world. And so, yeah, without knowing too much more about 3D Vista, I can't say too much more on that. But at our core, I guess we're looking for the most scalable solution, which is another reason that we've stuck with Matterport for now, is that all of this stuff should be technically possible, but we're looking for the most scalable solution to as many people as possible. So that kind of stuff might, we'll have to look at it on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, exactly right. And I think this is lends itself to exactly what I was talking about before. If you want to send us some information, just support at Captured or Digital Twin at captured.io with more information about 3D Vista and how you'd like to use it and the kind of problems you're looking to solve. If you've got this idea, it's probably very likely that a lot of your counterparts around the world probably have the same sort of thinking. And so we can look into this and provide more detailed answer as well, if you want to send us some information. I saw a question come up around analytics. I didn't mention it in the webinar, but we will be providing in-depth analytics. Something that we found when we first started using virtual tours back 6-7 years ago was the easiest way to kind of sell this into different industries was by showing data. And so this many views for this long and this many impressions through virtual tours. And we're bringing that thinking through to ARConnect as well. So you'll be able to see how long people are utilizing the experience for, what tags they've clicked on and for how long they've stayed in that experience. And to a certain extent, where they've moved through that space. It's all going to be discrete data, but for a supermarket, for instance, if someone's utilizing it to get from their shopping cart through that space, the supermarket will be able to see how each customer moves throughout the store, and that is valuable data. It will be a long way to go in terms of months to be able to provide this, but these are all pieces that we're tracking in the background, and it's how we present that back in report formats. Even doing fly-throughs potentially, so you can pretend like you're flying through the Matterport model to see how users move through that space is all going to be possible in the very near future. There's a lot of questions here. Let's see if we can get through a few more. Can a client add notes? Can it be saved so the technician looks at them and do the necessary fixes and remove the comments when done? So there is an inside the document, markup text, option capabilities, technician and the client. Ian, do you want to take this one? Adding notes?
Yeah, so in future, I think we may have done a job that did something similar to this with the idea of basically being able to make maintenance notes and to be able to like complete them, have checklists, even have like wayfinding paths from kind of point to point as like a maintenance worker would check off certain things. I think what we found is that we don't, like Stephen already said, we don't want to reinvent the wheel. So we understand that there are maintenance systems that already exist and they would rather kind of integrate those into the app. So we don't have anything planned in the short term to kind of roll that out in a scalable way, but being able to embed a web page might be a really good way to get around that limitation, in that you could just embed the page of your maintenance request and you should be able to hit checkboxes and you should be able to fill in description fields all fine, because it just works like a regular web page. And so we want to make it scalable. We do want to see what our users are actually using, and if there's enough users using a particular using those tags in a particular way, then we'll probably like to kind of fold that into our development stack and timeline. Yeah,
exactly right. And that's one of the big reasons why we're pushing forward with the website view as one of the first features, because it solves a lot of these problems in its infancy. It's not the perfect solution, but it helps you provide the service that you're after. But then if we can see that a lot of people are using it for maintenance requests, being able to connect through APIs to facility management platforms is something that we've done before. And yeah, as I've seen in the chat there, an asset management tool to get that information. And not only will it feed back to the tag in Matterport, because it's two ways, but then it would feed back through the API to the facility management ecosystem or CMS that is available there as well. The next one from Jackie here. I'm blown away on how fantastic the tech is. All credit goes to Ian and the team on that one. The guided audio for a museum. Can you select an area for the audio to play even while moving around? Currently, when a SoundCloud audio plays on a tag, when you move away, the audio stops. Yeah, and I'll let you answer this one if you like.
Yep. Yeah, short answer is you will be able to in future. Right now, we've kind of had this really simplified user experience to try and kind of hit as many marks as possible. But I imagine for certain cases, you're going to want different interactions with those tags. You may want multiple tags to be up at the same time. You may want tags to autoplay videos and audio. You may want them to stop when you walk out, or you may want them to keep playing. And so we'll kind of start supporting that tech as users start requesting it, I guess. It's all very technically possible.
Yeah, and I guess the key difference there is between having like you would have seen that first video with Alex where he had a SoundCloud clip in a tag. The same way in a virtual tour, if you click that tag, the play button will play that audio. When you move away, it will stop. But with spatial audio, you're kind of putting a bound around a certain area within a space. And as the user walks into that, the audio will fade in and start playing and most likely loop while they're in there. And then as they walk out of that area, it will stop, or if they move to the next audio piece, the next piece of audio will fade in and it will continue moving. And so it's less reliant on a tag, but more about where they're situated within that 3D model in the physical world, if that makes sense. Let me know if that answers your question, because that is actually a really good question. I want to make sure I've given you the right answer there for that one. A lot more questions coming through here. Can it function without the ARConnect app? Unfortunately not. So we've tried to simplify this as much as possible, and maybe we've oversimplified it within this within the webinar and the videos that we create, but the app is doing a lot of the heavy lifting here. This is a world first on a number of different encounters. Our IP around the alignment is one of its world first without true development behind it, without having a development team to create something, and so having it scalable. And we've bundled that all within the AR application itself. As I mentioned, there is goals to have the application white labeled in the future, and so that you could have it branded for yourself or your client. We do have even further future goals. I don't want to get anyone too excited, but within 2 to 5 years, I'll say, and so there's a good timeline on this, having it within the WebXR environment, and so running within a browser is all very possible. We're doing a number of projects right now with WebXR. Our team at Fora, if you go to our website, just an amazing piece with ABC, our national broadcaster here, one of the most comprehensive WebXR experiences in the world, over 16 minutes of content running in AR within a browser. The key difference here is, though, the alignment side. The alignment takes up a lot of power, essentially, and information that needs the application to assist itself. In the future, this will become more probable through WebXR. So there could be a future where you're looking at the Matterport tour in the browser, you click a button and the experience will start. That's absolutely a goal of ours, but it's technically not possible right now. And so right now you do need the application. App done, understand this is for AR, for use on site. Would there be an option to use this without being on site? Just curious because of lockdowns. Yeah, really interesting question. So we actually did a prototype or pitching process for a client, I won't say who, recently, but we weren't able to get to site. It was for a retail project. And so the way that we pitched it was we brought in the 3D model of the virtual tour that we've got, so the OBJ or the dollhouse, and we placed that within the living room of the team that was creating the video. And so therefore you're walking around in augmented reality within the 3D model. It works really well in flat surface space, so galleries or clean areas. As I'm sure you're all aware, when you're scanning a messy home or a property that has a lot of movement, the OBJ is not that clean. And so that's not the end best experience, but it is very possible to do that. You would have seen it in the Willow video as well. We overlaid the 3D model with the real world to show you how accurate our alignment was. It also helps with looking at past versus present. So by able to click a button, you can quickly put the 3D model around you, whether it's in situation or offsite, to give you that context. It's all possible. We've done it before. It's not going to be in this release. It's probably going to be more in that 3D asset part. So Q2, Q3 next year, bringing in 3D models and 3D assets within the AR experience itself. I can try and pump through a few more of these so we can get.
So I'm going to just quickly add that it is possible to test right now. Kind of, it's a little bit debuggy, but with the current version of the app, you can just test wherever you are. So if you want to test a particular site, but at home, you can just place an alignment point down. Our system requests that, our system works that you go into Captured and you mark a measurement on the front door of the property you plan to use the app at. But then when you download the app, there's nothing to stop you from lying to it and just marking your front door instead. And so all tags will then be positioned as if you're in the correct space. But as Steve touched upon, without the Matterport model, without any point cloud data, it's not going to make much sense. But if you do just want to get a feel for how the app works, it'll work out of the box. Just choose your front door to mark as the fake front door of the property you want to use.
Perfect. Yeah, thanks for that, Anne. Next question here, we'll be running workshops on features. Absolutely. Anyone that's willing to learn and listen to us and our team, I'm more than happy to assist. We provide demos daily on Captured, and that will just feed into that. So in the Facebook group, which the link's in the chat to this, we'll be posting this video, the presentation, but we'll also post a link to book in a demo session with one of our experts on the system, on the platform, and you can book in 15 minutes in your time zone as well. We try and make this quite flexible. We understand that it's people all around the world. So please click on that link that was just posted in the chat. We'll have all the other information there, and we will set up more regular webinars. This is more of an initial welcoming. What we'd like to see in the future is kind of present back some of the concepts and ideas that all of you have used the technology for, some probably things that we haven't thought of, and which will help kind of flourish the ideas within the ecosystem as well. Fiona, do you need to overscan with BIM to ensure accuracy? It comes back to the previous one. A more accurate 3D model is going to help with alignment, but it does come down to the alignment itself being accurate. But if you have a really poor 3D model, and this goes down to any virtual tour, I tried scanning a park with the Pro 2. Anyone that scanned outside with the Pro 2 will know the difficulties I went through. The model affects how accurate the tags are because you're placing the tag on the 3D model. And so if you don't have a clean and accurate model, then those tags aren't going to be very accurate in their location as well. So it does matter. It does matter, but it's not the be all or end all. But if you get the cleaner model or the more accurate model, the more accurate your alignment's going to be for the ARConnect experience. Would it be possible to incorporate projects from Unreal Engine or game engines based off CAD files, but redesign space, kind of like BIM? And I'll put that one on you if you like.
Yeah, so in future, I think I touched upon it in the previous answer. In future, I think we would like to ingest kind of any 3D data. So you'd be able to upload your BIM data, you'd be able to upload any like architecture models rendered in Unreal Engine or another engine. And really all on the technical side, we just need to work out how they fit into the real world, work out basically the mathematical calculations to get them in the right spot. So there's no technical reason that we won't be able to support that in the future. It's just having once again, like a scalable solution where you are able to upload your files somewhere. And we understand that these files are generally like multiple gigabytes in size. So just supporting that kind of pipeline is really the thing we need to do, which is why we can't say we're going to support it in the short term, but definitely possible.
Yeah. If you get a chance to check out our Foria website, foria.io, there's a project on there, Rewild, which I touched on at the start. That for us is like an ultimate goal, long term, I'd say in a few years' time, that will allow you all to create experiences similar to that. So bringing in 3D assets, 3D animations, a bit of gameplay, that's where we would like to get this, and that's what it feeds into. So we used Unity to build that experience, and so Unity and Unreal are very similar engines, obviously have their differences, but that's where that comes into play, being able to drop in animations and 3D assets. More of a longer play for that, but in the short term, those CAD files and things are more likely as well. There's a few more questions here. I know that we're quickly running out of time. We love answering questions, so we're going to get through the vast majority of these. I appreciate that all of you are probably busy and have a lot to do. So if you did need to drop off, we really appreciate your time and thank you for joining us. We're going to answer a few more questions. If you'd like to stay around and listen to them, you're more than welcome to. And this will, again, be posted on the Facebook group after this as well. This is about a vehicle. Could you scan a vehicle, both the interior and the exterior, where there's minimal spatial distance when it comes to aligning possible tags, and what would it be attached to the Matter tag? Yeah, so this is definitely possible. We've done a number of different trials with showrooms in particular cars, and even defects in cars from smash repairs and things like that. It's actually quite versatile. So if you were to do the alignment on the car, picking a unique spot, let's say the driver's door, driver's seat with the door open, it wouldn't actually matter where that car was located. If it moved, your model should still work. I'm saying this from a concept point of view, just because it's picking up the visual alignment side of the experience. And then the tags within that space, within that car would still work. If you've scanned inside and outside, the surfaces that you've put the tags on is where they will present themselves. Whilst it is a small space, the tags are also quite small. And so you will be able to fit a few tags in there. Correct me if I said anything false in that sentence, Anne.
No, that's all correct. One limitation that I sometimes forget about, which hopefully won't come into play, is that the app currently doesn't work on moving vehicles. If something is static, it should work completely. And so even if you had a boat, if you wanted to scan a boat that was docked somewhere, that should work. But once that boat starts moving, basically the AR can just get a little bit messy. But as Steve said, if you're doing the interior of a vehicle, shouldn't matter where that vehicle is, as long as it's parked. It should still align correctly and the tag should appear in the correct spots. But yeah, no moving vehicles at the moment, no planes at the moment.
I appreciate that you said at the moment, because
I want to fix it. It's one of the limitations. It keeps me up at night. I want to be able to do a plane.
Yeah, within a plane, getting all the information. That'd actually be fantastic. The next one's regarding virtual furniture. Do you get a choice of furniture or how it comes? So this is a good question. Probably sits more within the virtual staging question around captured, but it answers it for both. To begin with, there will be a large volume of assets to choose from. The reason being, it comes down again to compression and utilization of a 3D asset. Some couches in 3D format could be a few gigs, just because of the intricacies of the design, where we're trying to get it down to kilobytes or a maximum a megabyte. So we're going to be providing a suite of assets to begin with that you can utilize with different forms and contemporary and modern designs and all of that. But in the very near future, the goal would be to allow all of you and our customers to upload their own assets. Would have a compression engine to get it to a particular format that could then be pushed into the virtual tour on web, mobile, and also within ARConnect in itself. I don't know if there's too much more on that one, Ian, but we can jump into the next one. As you get into the staging side, will it be virtual staging based on placing commercial products or a generalized CGI model that you create? It'd be good for your existing staging to have particular furnishings that fit commercial spaces. Yeah, so that kind of feeds into the last one. There will be basic furniture and assets that we'll be able to provide, but especially within the commercial space, we see the need to be able to upload your own assets. And so the question is, will my machinery fit in this warehouse? And so being able to get a CAD format of that machinery, even in a lightweight form, being able to place it in the virtual tour, but then even seeing it in situ on site with augmented reality will really help you better understand how things could be framed within a space in itself. So yes, there will be basic assets, but we'll also provide the ability to upload in the future. AR analytics. Yeah, this was from Dan again. This we spoke about it quickly before. We'll be providing basic analytics to begin with, so time, users, impression, but we will also be able to create heat maps. And so ideally overlaying this on the Matterport Virtual Tour, seeing where people are moving through the space, where people are spending most of their time, individual routes of certain people through the lens of their camera, essentially. Not seeing the lens through the camera, I should say just the XYZ coordinates of their camera within that space. All that's going to be very possible, and we'll be providing key information about that because they're the selling points for the customers at the end of the day to get a better idea of ROI and how their customers are using it and why they're paying for it. It's going to be very important for us to be able to provide this information. And just like with Captured, we're going to set it up as an automated process as well. So it's one of these left and forget sort of things. You set up a schedule and we'll email all your customers the analytics that they need. It's one of the underlying benefits of why we've put this under the Captured brand to make benefits of all the features that we've got there as well. Whatever can you do will be camera independent. If it works with Matterport, you're good. Simple terms, yeah. So again, it's another Matterport question versus non-Matterport. Right now, Matterport, you need it 100%. But we appreciate that technology evolves and evolves quite quickly. Our system is built agnostic. And so when in the future new devices come out, and primarily the new iPhone can almost do it itself right now, creating 3D models that we could utilize off the back of it. The part that it doesn't have is placing tags, but there would be software that can allow for that as well. But it is all very possible. And so our system is done through an API. And so when other systems are created that have the necessary connections for our API, we can easily just plug into that. And it would be the same way that it would work with Matterport with any other spatial device. But for now, we are working with Matterport. But if there are any key technologies that you're working with that you think would work quite well, please, again, get in contact with us. We are open to all of these ideas and suggestions. We'd love to hear from you on it. So if there is anything that you're working with right now that you'd be like, this would be perfect, let us know and we can have a look into it and get back to you with a timeline. Just extending my last question, do scanning practices need to change to ensure accuracy of ARConnect? I know 3D tours are lights on with scanning points. Do more points improve ARConnect? This is a really good question. Actually, something we were discussing before, and I'll let you put your 2 cents in a second. But the way you scan a house or property right now should remain the same. Obviously, if you're scanning correctly, you should scan for 2 purposes. One, to build a beautiful 3D model, and the second part to assist the user of where they want to walk through the virtual tour. And so that same mindset is exactly what you need to create a good 3D model for ARConnect. We were talking about this yesterday in our team meeting. It's actually the same issues that Matterport has would be the same issues that ARConnect have. And so if you can't scan because the property doesn't have lights on and it's a dark space and the camera doesn't work because it can't pick up enough information, and you have to put a light on top of the camera, ARConnect will also have problems in that space because it needs to be able to see and have light to understand where it is within there. Similarly with outside, Cortex does work, but it's not the best experience. The same thing with ARConnect. It will work with that Matterport tour, but it might not be the most accurate and best experience. And so if you think about wherever Matterport works really well, ARConnect's going to work really well. Wherever you come up to problems and you have to problem solve a lot with Matterport, it's probably going to be very similar with ARConnect. Anything to add on that one, Ian?
No, that's 100% right. I guess the one thing for ARConnect specifically is that you want to create your alignment points with the app in similar lighting conditions to how you imagine your users will end up using it. If you have a fully lit house and you create all your alignment points in the light, but then you plan to have your users use it at night or in the dark, you're likely going to have issues. So you want to basically try to get as kind of stable lighting conditions as possible. Not just lighting conditions, actually, like as stable furniture, stable objects and details as possible, which is why we recommend doors, because they don't change much.
Hopefully ever.
Yeah.
Last few questions here. So is it a roadmap to be able to create the experience with only a CAD model as a basis? This comes back to the Matterport versus non-Matterport. Yes, it is. If that CAD model and the software that is ingesting that CAD model provides the necessary information for us to do what we need to do for alignment and visualizing the features. John, this came from your side. If there was particular software that you're looking at for this, get in contact with us and we can look into it. At the moment, we are focusing on the Matterport side because it solves a lot of problems for us that we don't need to solve. But if anything was to present itself within the software that you're using, we'd be happy to look at it. The next one's on APIs. So with the API data connections, will this be available and captured? It's actually a really good point. It's something that I probably didn't mention very clearly within the webinar, but anything that we build in captured, our goal is to make available within ARConnect and vice versa. And so if you see a feature on captured, whether it's virtual staging, IoT, custom tags, wayfinding, anything that is present within captured, we're going to make available in ARConnect. And so you can start to think of any service that we're providing will be agnostic to both experiences. And so you can get reliant on what we can provide. To begin with, there's going to be a little bit of a development curve to get to that point. Right now, we're just focusing on the tags and the branding side of things, but the goal is to keep development aligned for both of those teams. And so if you see something in ARConnect, it's obviously going to be very useful to have those same IoT sensors and custom tags within the virtual tour. And so your customers have a consistent view of what you are providing them, and whether they're online, on site, and the two-way tags and everything communicates quite well. There's consistency behind that. And that kind of feeds into the client portal within Captured as well. In the future, you'll have a branded, or you do currently right now in Captured have branded client portals that you can invite your clients to. They could then dive into their tours, have all their IoT sensors there, send their technicians to the site, have their two-way communications through Captured, all branded with your logos. And it looks consistent across the board. So that's the development goal as we move forward. LiDAR-equipped phones such as iPhone 12s contribute to authoring and using AR. Yes, absolutely. So this is from Christopher. The new iPhone 12s are going to have better accuracy and less drift within the AR environment, just because their phones are more dedicated to create AR. So they're going to have a better experience, but all the other phones before it will still work quite well. Also, in their capturing process, it comes back to that Matterport versus non-Matterport question again. Yes, the 3D models that the iPhones do create, we could use it within our environment. We haven't built the capabilities right now, but it is good enough to use in the future, and something that we will be looking into. Sorry, Ian, I'm trying to get through as many of these as possible. From the beta group, some of the folks found that their IoT control didn't display, or not just display. Is this part of the plan? So Ian, I'll let you answer this one. So not just displaying the IoT, but controlling that IoT. Where are we at with that?
Yeah. So that's definitely part of the plan. I guess we don't want to give especially your users, if you're handing this off to someone else, too much control over all of the IoT sensors or IoT devices. But currently there is support by being able to embed a web page, there is support for being able to interact with IoT sensors. So I've got like some smart lights in my apartment that I was able to embed a front end for and turn them on and off and show color through the app. And we don't have any immediate plans to restrict that access. I think the intention is read and write, but I guess we do need to be careful and we need to make sure it's secure. And so there may be more limitations around that in future. But for now, the idea would be that you would be handling it by just embedding a web page that has like the appropriate permissions and authentication sorted. But definitely possible, and definitely something we want people to do and try out.
Yeah, perfect. And it kind of feeds onto your next question here. So that these are both from the same person, from David Livingston, around connecting to IoT product manufacturers. So like Bosch's solution for commercial buildings. And then that comes back down to working with software and companies that have created great products. And so especially Bosch, they would have a great API for their IoTs, and they would solve a lot of these problems around security and privacy through their pieces. And so our goal would be to open up our API connectivity to ingest their IoT data and then utilize their processes and their software. And so if you've already set everything up once, with this example with Bosch, for instance, you're not going to want to set it up again on Captured. The better use case is just connecting your API to us, and then we can just be the filter or the end experience in augmented reality on top of it, to help bring that through. And that's probably the more realistic path that we're going to take. So providing WebView to put in anything you want right now, and in the future connected to APIs for existing database and solutions at the moment. The next one here from Dan, is the ARConnect app developed so that it can be featured within a client's app rather than downloading the ARConnect app? Ian, I'll let you answer that one.
Unfortunately, not at the moment, but as Steve said, with the vast timeline of 2 to 5 years, hopefully, the intention is to eventually migrate this technology onto the web using WebXR. And at that point, you should be able to embed a web page inside any app or any website you have. But at the moment, unfortunately, it's a standalone app, and that's just due to the capabilities of phones and augmented reality, unfortunately.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect answer. Ideally, yeah, and probably when it gets to WebXR, but for now, you will need the ARConnect app for a number of different reasons, for processing power, battery power, the way the technology works, and everything else around it, and authoring as well. So another one here from Anonymous around virtual staging. Will you actually be able to display this within the as-built in AR? Yes, absolutely. So think of the process where you've scanned a vacant property with no furniture in it. Within Captured, you could stage the house and make it look beautiful with couches, rugs, beds, everything else. You can present that on realestate.com or Domain. They're the two property portals here in Australia. It would be your Zillow over in the States and a million other platforms around the world. And so that virtual tour has the virtual staging within it on the web. And then for users that come to the actual open inspection and the house is still not staged, they could use the ARConnect app to walk through the house and see the property staged in augmented reality with all the couches and furniture as it was in the virtual tour, but in the real world through an AR lens to give them a better idea of how each room will be set up. This is the goal. I'm saying that from a conceptual point of view, but this is what we're working towards in Q2, Q3 next year when we're releasing these features. And it's a super exciting user journey on that, because for those of you who've worked in the virtual staging space, it could cost thousands upon thousands of dollars to hire the furniture, get it staged, and then remove all that furniture. Whereas with what we're trying to provide, it will be done in minutes, really costless, I should say, and available to use for unlimited amount of time as well. Can somebody on site do the alignment for me? This is a great question. Yes, absolutely. You need to teach them what they're doing and what they're looking out for. But especially in a COVID-safe world where a lot of us are still stuck at home or stuck within a certain radius, it is very possible. So you would set up the alignment on the virtual tour. So it's taking let's use the simplest point here, the front door from left to right, and setting that measurement as your first alignment point, and you might do another 10 within the property depending on how big it is. You would then probably want to have a workshop or have someone that is aware of what they need to do on site. But within the application, it steps the person through the stages anyway and shows you the reference images of find this door and you're trying to measure this amount of measurement. And so it is quite self-explanatory in any case. And so if you were, let's say in Australia, but you're doing a project over in Singapore, you could get the on-site team in Singapore to do the on-site version while you're doing all the back-end side here, and it should work seamlessly. The only thing to note is that they would need to be an admin on your Captured account, just because you need to sign into the application to get access to all the authoring and editing tools, whereas the end user only sees a filtered version of that process. But it is very possible, and it's a great question. So another one, again, with virtual staging from Ali, maybe I missed it, but with staging, what is the timeline on the assets? So in terms of when we're looking to get this released, on the virtual tour side of things, within Captured, we're hoping to have an MVP or a prototype out very shortly and within the public domain in early next year. Within Captured, it's going to be a slight delay to firstly get all of the QA bug testing sorted out on the website and mobile side, and then integrating that within the augmented reality. So you'd probably be looking mid-year next year for it to be in the augmented reality part of Captured, being ARConnect with virtual staging. Would there be an option to remove items in a model, like a cluttered or overcrowded home presented unfurnished? It's an interesting question. So I guess there's two ways to answer that, whether it's you're looking at it from the virtual staging point of view or the ARConnect point of view. The ARConnect point of view is just a filter on top of the real world. And so if you have a safe, for instance, or a pile of gold bars in a room, those gold bars are going to be present if you're physically looking at them, and you can't filter that through AR. You can put a tag on it, or you could put a 3D asset over it in augmented reality. But if you're there on site physically, you're obviously going to be able to see it still. And so you can think of the augmented reality side as a filter to the real world, or a different point of view rather than actually masking anything. Within virtual staging, it's a different question. On site within a virtual tour, online within a virtual tour, there will be capabilities, but this is something more that Matterport's working on. You all may have seen that their tools within their Matterport labs, being able to paint floors, the blur tool, and a few other things that Matterport are working on at the moment to solve problems just like that very, very shortly. Last couple here. The Matterport Pro 2 camera is rather large. This is coming from Christopher. For car interiors, would it be possible to use smaller cameras? Yeah, absolutely. So the point and shoots, the Ricoh Theatre, my sales team's going to be on my back for not being able to list all the other 360 cameras that can work with Matterport. They're all on the Matterport website, but yes, you can use the point and shoots to use in the car to create the model. As long as the end tour is in the Matterport environment, we're able to then get that URL and do everything we need to do for ARConnect. And so that would work perfectly for a car. In saying that, we haven't tested it though, but we know it would work. So we'd love to see any test that you would do within a car with a 360 point and shoot. Send it through to us, because I'd be really interested to see how it works out. Is there an option to white label? Absolutely. So this is going to be a focus for the second half of the year. I mentioned it a couple of times, but our goal within Captured and pretty much anything that we do on this side of the business isn't to have Captured at the forefront. It's to have our clients' brands and our clients' digital presence at the forefront. At the end of the day, if our clients succeed, we succeed. And that's the philosophy we have in everything that we do. Captured is the background, the backbone, and the database for what we hope to be great value-added services to Matterport. But we don't want to be the face of the technology, because we want your companies to be at the forefront, to give you more credit, to get you more business, because at the end of the day, that's going to flow back to us. And so right now, ARConnect is a single branded app, just because we need to be able to house all the technology and develop all the features into a single space. But we understand the importance of white labeling and the ability to be able to provide it under your brand or even your client's brand. I mentioned it in the webinar, but IKEA is a really good example of this. Probably a really good use case for tags and wayfinding within a large space. IKEA is not going to want to use an ARConnect app. We understand that, because we've worked with IKEA in the past. And to land a project like that could be $50, $100, $150,000, you need to be able to provide a white label solution. So it is something that we're working on, and it will be available in the medium term, I'd say 12 months or so, because we do understand the importance to it as well. There are a number of problems to solve there. Getting it on the App Store is under your client brand, your brand, maintenance of that application. So there are a few pieces in there. It will come at a cost for obvious reasons as well, but there is so much benefit behind that, and we do understand and respect that. Last couple here, they just keep coming. Could the skin of a scan be replaced if, for example, you wanted to view the interior of a 100-year-old building through its evolution? Great question, Scott Walker. Yes, absolutely. So we've done this. You would have seen it in a couple of the examples. Comes back to the 3D asset, being able to drop a 3D asset from 100 years ago, or a designed version of that asset, but also bringing it forward. If you're scanning a, let's use a renovation over time. So you scan the house before the renovation, during the renovation, before the walls go up, and then when it's complete, you could then bring in all of those 3 models once we update the system to host the 3D assets, and you could scrub through it. You would have seen it in the Willow video. We even did a depth push, and so it kind of wraps in and wraps out. And so you could walk through the property and see it through different stages of its lifetime, or even through the design version, which is technically what you're talking about with a 100-year-old. Or technically, if you're scanning now, and let's all hope that we're all around in 100 years, you could then bring back another scan from where you were a while back into the future as well. So it's all very possible. It's not in its current format in this private public beta, but it will be part of the 3D asset integration when we do release that in the coming months. A couple more virtual staging questions here. Yes, you will be able to use your own furniture in the future. To begin with, it will be a list of assets that we will provide just because they're optimized. Version model, get back to send back to the old furniture. Yeah, so linking furniture to purchasing that furniture, again, it would be a feature that would be built out in the future. Are you planning to add customization tools to remove and add assets for renovations and cost estimate purposes? Yeah, so this comes down to the two-way communication side of things within the tags. Hypothetically, the builder could scan the property and tag up all the areas that they want to renovate and link to the assets that they would utilize for that. And so the end user or the homeowner could view that, and then they could go through while they're in the house, click on those links, add comments to that link or change it, be like, no, I'd actually prefer this wood finish versus the granite. And that's all very possible within the two-way tag feature that will be released. And lastly, we'll be able to blur faces. So again, we're not using the 3D model in the first person view, or the panoramas, I should say, in that AR experience. We're just using a filter in the real world. And so you'll never see, even if you caught a dog within the 3D tour or some people or even number plates through cars, you're not going to see that in the ARConnect application. You're only going to be seeing the filter of tags, wayfinding, or information that we're placing on top of all of it. And so in the background, the application's using that 3D model to align and move and place everything everywhere. But you don't actually see that as an end user, unless we're talking about the 3D asset point of view where you could wrap things in which case, then it would just be the 3D model, which you would need to edit to get any of those things out, but it would be on you. This is Rico Theatre, you can see some comments there. And Cooler is a really good example for the 360 photos and things like that. I think we've come to the end of a lot of the questions here today. Firstly, I'd really like to thank all of you for staying on for so long. We've gone over time, but it's been an amazing day for us, an amazing opportunity. We really appreciated all of you joining in. We can't wait to see what you create and how you kind of push this forward. We're here from both a technical point of view and a business point of view. We've been selling this and creating this for the past 3 to 4 years. If you've got any questions around how you can sell it into certain industries or business models or different things like that, we've got a team dedicated to assist with that. Please get in touch. We're here to help. On the technical point of view, our team is available to assist with any challenges that you might have. Hopefully none, but it is in private beta. And also any ideas that you may have. We've thought about it from our point of view, but I'm sure you've all got 1,000,001 ideas that are going to be fantastic to assist this community in growing. So we've got our links on the Facebook page. Again, please join that group. This webinar will be there, so you can rewatch it for a number of different reasons. The pitch deck will also be available to use, rebrand, use it to talk to the customers that you've got. And all of our new assets and new videos will be shared within that forum there. We don't want to flood other forums and things like that, but we understand there's a community for this technology and we're putting that information there. So please join that and stay in touch. Our email addresses will be there for contact as well. Again, really appreciate all your time today for all of you. I know you're all very busy, so I appreciate you taking an hour and a half out of your time today to join us on this amazing opportunity for all of us. We'll be doing this more regularly in more detail. So again, thank you all very much. Have a great day and looking forward to hearing from you all soon. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.